Anyways, yeah, we're live here on Facebook. We're live here on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope doing a 12-team PPR mock draft. We've got some members of Whisper Nation in here. Want to shout them out a little bit. Jacob Bley, Rob Shorter in here. The News, Easy Daddy. Johnny is obviously in here. Fantasy 5. Jay Blizzy just got in here. Austin just got in here. He'll be joining us in just a second when he can.
We only have one spot left open.
The FB Therapist. This popped off right as I went to go read all these people in here. We started to get popping here. So 12-team PPR. Johnny, we actually asked Whisper Nation what kind of draft they wanted this week.
Yeah, we did. Oh, here's Austin. We got Austin on. What up, Austin? Welcome in to the stream. Yeah, we asked everybody what they wanted, and they said they wanted a 12-team PPR. And so we gave it to them. We said, okay, let's do this. And so we set it up. I have tweeted out the link. I have messaged the link in below. Whatever platform you're on, just click on that link. There's one spot left, 109. And then we will start.
Also, we got you in here, man. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, Big Travis? What's up, Game Time Hicks?
What's up, brother?
Man, I love the Twitter poll responses coming in. The people have spoken.
Yeah, they have. This is exciting, dude. I'm jacked to go. We're live on like 3 streams right now.
I know. I was clicking on the computer and I was just like, Johnny's everywhere right now. It's awesome. And then Travis was there too. I was like, I couldn't get away from you guys. My phone, my computer, my bathroom monitor. It's everywhere.
The influx of notifications are deep here. We love that we've switched over and now we're streaming on all 3 platforms simultaneously. So much so we're going to try and go live every single day, or at least those weekdays in the week. So that be on the lookout for that. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, Eric Zuber.
Yeah.
Reading from the Great White North. Hope everyone is staying warm.
Yeah, it's going to be 73 today in LA. So
It's not keeping me from my merino wool sweater though. I got that
one.
Right.
It's that weird point in LA weather where it's like it's cold, but it's also warm. You couldn't wear that outside, but you're definitely cold inside. It's some weird times going on.
Dude, I was walking by a farmer's market yesterday, and you just saw it's at that point. You got people in sweaters, full-blown winter wear, and then tank tops and shorty shorts. And they're both dressed appropriately right now. I don't know what this Bermuda Triangle of weather is. But
Absolutely.
We're guys, full. We've made it. We are full. Cool. All right, we are going to start this. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
So
begin draft here. Jacob Bley at the 105. Look, Josh, Jay Blizzy already saying, gonna snipe me per usual. Jacob Bley, look, he's already in it too. He knows.
Oh, Dalvin Cook, number 1.
No, I like that, dude.
Why not? He's almost like the Ezekiel Elliott, like the new Ezekiel Elliott is Dalvin Cook. Is that fair?
I think he's a better receiver than Zeke, but yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I think he might be more athletic than Zeke too. But yeah, I think that's kind of close volume wise.
We have Christian McCaffrey going at the 102. You guys, CMC has been in a lot of rumors lately with the Carolina Panther. All these rumors saying the Carolina Panthers desperately want a quarterback, and there's rumors that Deshaun Watson could go to Carolina, but then there's rumors that CMC could be involved in that deal in order to make that happen. So that could be pretty nasty if CMC goes to Houston. At least compared to where he's at right now, and Houston being a dumpster fire. But then on the other side, there are potential trade people have put together that work out that Christian McCaffrey will stay with the organization. And man, you gotta imagine he would be once again the clear blown 101, right? If Deshaun Watson goes there and they're able to keep CMC.
I mean, I think he's close. I think he's there right now. I mean, close. Like I don't know if he's just the sure-handed number 1, but he's close. Awesome. What were you going to say there?
You guys brought up a really good point in the last season's dialogue on the impact mobile quarterbacks have on running backs, and so I love the ability for them to get more first downs. I also like there for to be just one running back and that to be the actual running back. I wonder, competency and an ability to get first downs and score would definitely be good for Christian McCaffrey. Would Deshaun Watson be the ideal quarterback, or would they rather have a statue?
Yeah, and remember, Johnny, Duke Johnson is a guy that you've been a fan of and his ability. And one of the biggest knocks on Duke Johnson, even David Johnson going to Houston, was, Deshaun Watson does not have a history of throwing to the backs. So how would that hinder Christian McCaffrey's outlook, maybe with a Deshaun Watson there?
I mean, David Johnson was fine in the receiving area. I'll have to pull up how many receiving yards he has exactly, or receptions he had on the year. But I mean, it's like that whole thing where CMC. That's what they said about Cam Newton too, right? Like, Cam Newton doesn't really throw to running backs, but then CMC had a ton of receptions. It's kind of like when you have that piece, then it becomes a little bit more like, okay. And the other part of it is
hold on really quick. Before, I don't want to cut you off on here, but I got 33 seconds and I got a real question as we're really mock drafting here. Yeah. I'm looking at Saquon Barkley and I'm looking at Nick Chubb right now. And it's a tough one for me. It's who would you go with right now? Nick Chubb or Saquon?
I almost took Nick Chubb at the 106. I
would lean Nick Chubb.
Yeah, I would go Nick Chubb just because.
I think I am too. It's proven. We don't need anything different.
I understand it's a PPR and people might be like, well, Nick Chubb doesn't get a lot of reception. But listen, this guy is one of the best running backs in the league and he can just get it done that way. Like he's so efficient. Again, this guy averaged over 5 yards per carry last year. That's absurd.
The advanced metrics, he's like one of the best running backs of all time in the short window that he's put down. It's like strange how good Nick Chubb really is when you break it down. Johnny, you've been talking about him for years now, but still true now as it was then.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm reading some comments. We got Rob Shorter. London is warm, but of course it's raining here. Got some more weather reports. I love it. Eric Zerbert. Man, that Aaron Jones graphic on YouTube will haunt my dreams. Why so serious? I'm sorry.
Travis, are we going to get to keep Aaron Jones as Packer fans, or is he gone?
I think he's probably gone, man. I mean, we'll see. He'd have to take a pay cut, I think, if we want to keep him on the books. We did do a lot of restructuring recently. Got rid of Kirksey on the defensive side, Billy Wagner on the offensive side. So maybe we're trying to free up some money there. But Austin, you were talking with our buddy Alex Strofe, who works in the area up there, and he said that it's probably not in the cards money wise.
Yeah.
Probably isn't. And if you're Aaron Jones and you're at your age, you're at your skill set, you're at all these kinds of things, yeah, of course you'd love to win a championship with the team that drafted you. But this opportunity he's got in front of him of being a premier halfback at a premier age with no restrictions on his free agency, like, are you really knocking the guy if he takes some fatty deal to go play anywhere else?
No, I'm not at all. And then we've just seen from an organizational standpoint how, I don't like to use the word replaceable, but running backs come in plethoras in the NFL draft usually, and you can get them later, and you can go a committee approach and kind of get the production out of the run game. Now, I will say Aaron Jones is one of the most special runners I've seen in the last few years as far as burst and big run ability. But I think if you're an organization, you want to try and probably lean on the side of saving that money for other spots of your roster.
Yeah. I do want to say real quick, Jonathan Taylor at that 103 spot. That's a huge jump because of Carson Wentz news there. And then we had Alvin Kamara at Big Travie, who I think that's a steal at 104 in a PPR. That's pretty good. I got a couple of comments here. Jacob Bley, our number one fan. I would have gone Adams over Chubb or Saquon. Interesting. PPR.
I could see that.
Yeah.
For me on that one, it's like I would go with Devante Adams if there was not a running back available who I believed had a shot at being the number one halfback, or at least top three. Like true elite status running backs, they are just the hardest thing to find in fantasy football, regardless of the format. And I saw Saquon and Nick Chubb as both being in that category, but they were the last ones.
And I think Nick Chubb kind of gets the benefit of the doubt, the same benefit of the doubt like Henry gets. Volume-wise, Henry and Chubb are going to be the same pass-catching-wise. But, in a PPR, that doesn't really matter as much if you're getting the volume of an elite rusher like these guys are getting. So I think that's the right spot to take a chance on Chubb, or, especially Chubb over Saquon. Austin, I want to go back. Oh, I guess you're on the clock here. So go for it.
Here's the other thing, though, too, with the Nick Chubb stuff is like, yeah, if Kareem Hunt goes down, then who's not to say that they don't? Because Nick Chubb can catch. They just have two really good running backs. So they're like, well, why would we do that? Why not just let him be super efficient? And maybe they do continue that if Hunt were to go down. I don't know for sure. I can't say 100% confidence, one way or another. But I just think it's very interesting how. I think if Saquon Barkley were 100%, if we knew 100% where he was at and he was going to be on time, I think it would be a little bit more of a conversation, because Saquon can do it all, right? But as of right now, like I love Nick Chubb. I think he's super underrated. And we have fantasy football therapists right now saying I was between Chubb and Barkley, so you made the choice for me. Pretty good. You gotta love when that happens.
I also
want to say, lastly, before I make my pick here and toss it to Austin, 14 people watching, guys. Appreciate every single one of you guys. If you could just do us a huge favor, whatever platform you're on, just hit that like or thumbs up button. It would greatly help our channel grow. And let us know if you're new and watching. We'll throw your comment up on the screen. We'll give you a shout out. Now I pick. Austin, talk about you.
No, I know, just to follow up what Johnny said real quick. This is a moment of honesty. That's what we're here to talk about. Honest takes and whatnot, man. If you hit that like, hit that subscribe, drop us a comment. Like, we are here on the ground level with y'all. We love doing this. We prefer to be in a bar with you somewhere, just talking football, how it goes. But we're doing our best job to recreate that dynamic digitally. And it only happens because of all of y'all out there jumping in and making this happen. Week in, week out, day in, day out. So it's awesome. We'd love to have you. We can't wait to keep building this with you for the indefinite future. So that's really cool. As far as Johnny kicking it over to me to talk about my team, I was looking at who other elite options were available. I went back and forth between DK Metcalf and Patrick Mahomes. I still see DK. I think he's elite. I think he's a little bit system and quarterback dependent. Maybe he's going to turn into more than that. Maybe I'm being stupid right now with what I'm saying. I went with Patrick Mahomes, but I really liked considering DK Metcalf. I think if Dynasty, you could take DK Metcalf 1-1. And if you're in a startup Dynasty draft league, that would be a fine pick. But I just didn't see another true elite option besides Patrick Mahomes, and roll that forward. I'm excited about that.
You've talked me into DK, so I'm going to go with DK here. I did see Kittle there. It was tempting to kind of go with that same logic you were talking about there, Austin, like as an elite option coming around the corner. But I kind of like DK the way he sets up. I think the situation in Seattle is a little funny with Russell Wilson talking the way he's talking, but I doubt that they get rid or they trade him in any way. And I imagine they're going to want to keep him happy. So much money invested in him, which means they'll probably throw more than they're even saying they're going to throw. At the end of last year, they said, we're going to get back to running next year. So, DK and this offense looked unstoppable for the first 8 games of the year, pretty much.
I'm interested to know Travi and Johnny's take on this one. Seattle's been such a hot topic of conversation coming out as of late. And I almost feel like this Russell Wilson, Seattle's not happy with him, is like a way to cover their own butts. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? 3rd round draft pick Russell Wilson, multiple Super Bowls, never stops playing till the whistle's dead, bails you out of a horrendous offensive line year in, year out. It's his fault? I don't think so. Like, this dude hasn't had a defense since the beginning. This guy hasn't had an offensive line ever. They keep putting together weird running back situations after Marshawn Lynch. Chris Carson, good for you, man. But, they just have not given Russell Wilson a whole lot that he can just rely on. And now they're trying to say it's his problem. It almost feels like they're trying to hedge their bet between their lack of success, which we thought Russell Wilson was going to be an MVP. We thought the Seattle Seahawks were the best team in football at one point at the beginning of last year, and then it really came down quick. So is this really critique on Russell Wilson, or is this a team that's trying to find their truths?
I think it's like most thing. I think it's a combination of a lot of things. My thing is Wilson looked bad there were multiple games with multiple interceptions, fumbles, turnovers. He just looked bad through a stretch. But then he came out this offseason and said, I'd like to get hit less. So fix the offensive line kind of issue there. Part of throwing the ball a lot means putting yourself in danger to get hit more. So there's a little bit of give and take on both sides here. And I think, I was talking with my sister-in-law. She lives in the greater Seattle area. She's a Seahawks fan. I said, are you tired of Russell Wilson? She's like, I'm tired of the chirping for sure. But who are you going to trade him for? You can't trade him for anybody that's going to do what he can do. Like, there's nobody in the league that really does what he can do. So she made a great point there. And I think that's a good way to look at it. But, they probably want to get him as happy as possible, but also do the right things for a football team to win. And sometimes that's running the football,
Yeah. And while Travi is on the clock here, we just got done with our first 2 rounds. I want to run those down for y'all. We've got Dalvin Cook at the 1-1 position, Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, Alvin Kamara, Travis Kelce made the first 5, Derrick Henry grabbed by game time. I took Nick Chubb at 6. Saquon Barkley, Devante Adams, Ezekiel Elliott, Tyreek Hill, and DeAndre Hopkins closed out the first round. Started the second round with Josh Jacobs, followed by Michael Thomas, James Robinson, Austin Eckler, Stephon Diggs. I took Patrick Mahomes. Johnny took Aaron Jones. J.K. Dobbins is gone. Big Travis swooped up DK Metcalf, A.J. Brown, DeAndre Swift, and Antonio Gibson closed out the second round. Jacob Bley, number 1 fan, started the third round with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, followed by Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb. Big Travi took his boy George Kittle, got that elite stat going. Easy Daddy grabbed Joe Mixon. Johnny is now on the clock, picking at the 3-6 position to go along with his Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones. Very nice running back stack. Trav, you were able to get your 3 elites.
Yeah, that actually worked out well. I was hoping for Gibson because I almost took Gibson at 2-9.
Yeah.
But you talked me into Metcalf, and I looked at Kittle, and then Gibson got taken, so I went with Kittle there. Just, PPR, I think no matter what happens in that offense, he's going to be a main vein for them.
Yeah, I agree.
And
Johnny, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I have a question for you guys. Austin might make it this pick here, but Julio Jones and Mike Evans.
I was going to ask about Julio. Am I just falling in love with the name and the memories of this man?
I don't think so. I think you could make the case for injury for sure and say like that he had his most injured year last year, but when he got on the field, he dominated. And Andre Johnson was pretty old and still putting up 1,000-yard seasons, for the similar body type, big wide receiver. So I think there's faith there with the new system, a new head coach, Matt Ryan still involved. As long as they're both still there, I think Julio is going to continue to do Julio things, catch 100 yards a game.
We had Eric over saying, I was hoping Gibson to get back to me, but nope. Jacob Bley going Dalvin Cook, Antonio Gibson, and CEH with his first 3 picks. Antonio Gibson's a hot name. Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask real quick, and maybe Johnny or Austin, whoever wants to take this. So Easy Daddy talking about J.K. Dobbins or Gibson there. He went with the Dobbins pick. I'm not saying he's wrong or right. Where's your guys' landing on that? Because I think Gibson actually put more on tape, has more confidence there's more confidence in my end maybe that I'd go Gibson over Dobbins there.
I just think you're probably more excited about the Baltimore Ravens and how much they run versus a team like Washington right now that has a lot of question marks. We don't know who exactly the quarterback's going to be. That could change a lot of the momentum for sure. But as of right now, I think people have that whole mentality of like, let me go with the better offense as of, and we all know it's not like Dobbins is not super dynamic. We know he's super dynamic. But I think it has to do with the offense, right? But I do think that Antonio Gibson, I have no issues with how they went. J.K. Dobbins, DeAndre Swift, Antonio Gibson, CEH. Like, I think that's going to be pretty. I think you can kind of interchange those guys, and you're going to be fine.
I think the biggest thing on there comes from just like the situation. I agree with what Johnny said. My only concern would be, I'd rather get a piece of the Baltimore offense, but John Harbaugh likes to serve that pie up. When was the last time they had less than 3 running backs go? When we saw at the end of the year with Mark Ingram being regressed to the bench, and it was just Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. But even that Gus Edwards situation really took a hit on J.K. Dobbins' ceiling, as Antonio Gibson can crank you 35, 40 points.
Bunch of goal line carries for Gus there, just kind of getting in the way.
Exactly. He'll get you like 2 a game. It's not a problem, and that just takes the ceiling off. I love DeAndre Swift. Makes me a little nervous, but I think Johnny's boy and Swift is the most exciting from a talent and what should be role perspective. Gibson probably should be right in that same camp, but I think we're more excited about Detroit's offense, right, wrong, or indifferently, than we are about Washington's. And then the talent for DeAndre Swift is still, maybe it shouldn't be, but I think we're still putting Swift a notch above Antonio Gibson from a talent and capability perspective.
I love it, man. We're in the end of February, and we're doing the crystal ball kind of situation of trying to read the tea leaves of talent and opportunity for all those backs we just mentioned. That's some exciting stuff there.
We have Eric saying, I was a Gibson believer since last offseason, was just trying to be greedy with Dobbins. And then we had the football therapist saying, love Dobbins, a player, hate the value there, would rather get him in the third. But I mean, I don't think he's going to last the third is the issue. Like, you could say, I want a player, and but you can always want a player in a certain round, but like, it just is not going to happen. I just don't think, I think that this is probably right where he's going to end up going come even September, I think. Could even go up if there's more and more news about, what Austin brought up and alluded to, because that is a fact. They sometimes do rely on like 3 different running backs. They've already had rumors saying, oh, we're interested in bringing Gus back. Like, whereas last year they were trying to get rid of him. So you never know.
Justice Hill was over there, and there's a whole another round of running backs looking to get drafted coming up in May. Right, or April, when the draft is. So,
yep. Eric, you were saying McKissick vultured so much of Gibson's opportunities. I mean, for a little bit, but I think a part of that was because they wanted to like slowly bring him in. He was so new to the position that they were still trying to ease him into that position. And he was injured, so he got a lot more opportunities, or they were trailing, which makes sense because he's a rookie, he doesn't know the playbook as much. So I think that could change going into year 2.
And I think with the McKissick, I was going to mention that with Antonio Gibson, but I really feel like McKissick is just a spell, as where with Baltimore, Gus Edwards actually has some goal line chops to him. Justice Hill has some capabilities to him. Maybe I'm not talking about J.D. McKissick right. He did have a really good set of velvet hands in the backfield, but it's not like he's catching 40-yard zingers. He's catching 7-yard passes out of the backfield.
On the prospects too, like the difference in prospects between Gibson and Dobbins. Gibson was a wide receiver for most of his college career. So if I'm talking about a path to get back to pass catching, it's more believable to me that Gibson is eventually going to be a pass catcher and a big part of this offense because of his history playing the position. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited about all those guys, as Austin was kind of talking about. J.K. Dobbins, DeAndre Swift, Antonio Gibson. CEH kind of falling there in the 3rd round. I mean, where are you at, Johnny, on CEH coming in the next year? Do you think he goes in the 3rd or back in the 2nd? Kind of, he was going in the 1st round last year.
Yeah, I think he'll go mid-3rd, to be honest with you. I think, I mean, in a standard league, maybe he does go in the 2nd, but look, even Cam Akers, Sanders, who, in that range, you could argue, even Joe Mixon, you could argue all of these guys over CEH. I do think that CEH will get more opportunities next year. Once again, you can make that same argument as the other guys that, he's a rookie. He didn't have a lot of reps. I mean, they trusted him. He needs to get better at the goal line, that's for sure. But once again, it's a PPR league. They pass a lot in Kansas City. So once again, I think all of these guys are kind of in that same cluster tier. And I think you're happy if you grab one of them, 2 of them. I think you're going to increase. Now, the odds are saying, we all know this. The odds are saying that, 3 out of those 5 guys are probably not going to end up being who we thought or who we hope they will be. That's just how the odds go. But I think that I would take your favorite 2 offenses, and that's the 2 that I would probably go with if you're going to go with 2 of those guys.
No, on my stance on this, I'm a pretty big fan of Clyde Edwards-Helaire coming into his 2nd season. I think that he's almost like that prototypical case of a 2nd-year running back who maybe we over-evaluate a little bit. This wasn't a guy taken in the top 5 picks. he was taken at the very back end, pick 31 in the first round there. So it's a guy who was maybe the best of the class-ish. Maybe they reached a little bit for him over like a DeAndre Swift or whatnot, or a Jonathan Taylor, just because they thought it fit into his system. But I think CEH in year 2 is going to be better than he was in year 1, and the man still averaged 4 yards a carry. He still was able to produce. Travis, I wanted to ask you, though, in that same vein of these rookie running backs, moving a little bit further down the line in the 3rd round, we saw Cam Akers grabbed. And I wanted to know what your take there was, not just on Cam Akers, who I think we all agree is going to be really good, and we love what we saw at the end of his rookie season, but Darrell Henderson was a second-year player who did last year what I'm kind of arguing CEH is likely to do in his second year. And is there a reason to think that Darrell Henderson isn't going to keep it going?
Yeah, it would have been even more compelling had Henderson stayed healthy, because I think what he put on tape before he got injured was like, oh, no, not so fast, Cam Akers. Like, I can be a number 1 guy. I can be explosive and show what we thought he had at Memphis. I remember when he came out telling you, I really liked Darrell Henderson. I really liked what he put on tape. He had the juice. And he didn't show it in his rookie year, but he definitely showed it last year. I think that McVay will be happy with a 1-2 punch, mostly, Akers, 60-40 split, something like that, 70-30 split. But I think there's no denying they want Akers to be that guy. I think they want Akers to be the guy. He's more well-rounded. He's bigger. He does better when the line kind of collapses. He's the more well-polished prospect. But I think they're going to have a very formidable 1-2 punch. And I think Henderson's going to be a sleepy guy, or a nice sleeper that can add value for 0 RB strategy, or a top-heavy strategy for guys coming into next year.
Price, pretty good flex most of the season. Definitely a low
I think
floor,
so.
But he's going to have his games where he gets 15 touches and he broke off a 50-yard touchdown with one of those rushes.
Yeah, and Stafford had, if he can get better at catching the ball. Stafford had, plenty of guys that came in, Theo Riddick, Swift towards the end of last year or the beginning of last year, guys that had history of catching the ball under Stafford in Detroit.
Yeah, he loves dumping it off.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I messed up a little bit. I messed up.
Probably.
Well, I mean, I don't.
It is a mock, so
it is a mock. I took Deshaun Watson as the second quarterback, and I don't mind that. And my thought process here is that he's going to be traded to a team, and I know that any team that he goes to is going to be a better situation. I know this, but as of right now, this looks like a really dumb pick. But when they're watching this could look great. But here's the thing. I could have waited probably because of this. We always tell people, like, wait and you can get the player that you want in the next round. I could have gotten Deshaun Watson in the next round because I do believe ultimately if he does get traded, he will be that number 2 quarterback depending on the exact location, right? If he gets traded to Denver, if he gets traded to Carolina, I think either one of those 2 positions, he instantly becomes that number 2 quarterback overall, because those are 2 opportunities that he has great weapons around him that he can flourish. I've already seen him from just a numbers standpoint be, that MJ of quarterback numbers. He's been elite and he makes players better. And so I think that right now, this looks like a really dumb pick. And I think I could have gotten him in the 5th. But I wanted to bring up the conversation about Deshaun Watson because I want to ask you guys where you think he goes.
I think
Austin wants to say something. So
I was gonna say, before we talk about Deshaun Watson, I think it's actually probably the most helpful bit of conversation to talk about how you draft through tiers. And how you might very well be right, Johnny, that Deshaun Watson is going to be that number 2 quarterback, but I would probably put him in a pool of players that I would say are within 5 percentage points of having that same outcome. Mm-hmm. Anyone can lose an ACL, right? Anybody can have something weird go down. So it's really hard to hit that nail on the head. And I think there's more success in finding a pool of people. So I'd put Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, maybe Russell Wilson right in that kind of camp. And I would just be comfortable grabbing any one of those players and kind of keep an eye on. I love your drafting in the middle of the rounds here at 6, because then you kind of get an opportunity to gauge, and you don't usually miss one of the guys in your tier. So that would be my only suggestion. Before we get too far away, I want to get our last 2 rounds rundown for our listeners. In the third round, we started with CEH, followed by Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, George Kittle. Joe Mixon's gone, Mike Evans, Julio Jones. Cam Akers, Calvin Ridley, Allen Robinson, Miles Sanders, Chris Godwin to close out the third round. The fourth started off with Reed Tyler selecting Chris Carson. David Montgomery was next. Keenan Allen, T. Higgins, Darren Waller. I took Terry McLaurin. Deshaun Watson was grabbed by Johnny. We're going to keep talking about that in a second. Najee Harris, Adam Thielen was taken by Big Travie, DJ Moore. Lamar Jackson and Amari Cooper to close out the fourth. Jacob Bley started the fifth with Robert Woods. We saw Jamar Chase gone. Travis Etienne's gone as well. And Big Travie here is making his fifth round pick. But Johnny, I wanted to ask you then, if framing in the Deshaun Watson, I think he's going to be great. He's amazing. But would you have taken a look? Is he slotted to be that much better than Kyler Murray? Is he slotted to be that much better than Lamar Jackson or Dak Prescott with a healed ankle?
No. Once again, it like you had said, it would be Big Travie auto picked. Oh, got
it
him.
tells me 30 seconds on my screen, and then all of a sudden I'm auto picked.
Like we haven't heard that story before. Hold on, I'm gonna throw a shout out to our boys. The snap, Deshaun to Denver would be amazing. We also have Ryan Weiss, our boy, chiming in. If someone wants to read it, love Watson. Okay. Love Watson wherever he goes. Houston was last in total plays and 22nd in total passes, and it was still QB5. Might have the safest floor at QB. So look, he got a O from Austin. Like,
that's a good point. That's a really good point. And to Johnny's point earlier, anywhere he goes, he'll be great, right? Like if we're looking at him in being in one of the bottom barrel situations, and he was still top 5. Yeah.
Sign Austin up. Sign him up.
I would take this one, man. I'm so excited to see what happens to Deshaun Watson. It's like that's such an interesting storyline. He's still 26 years old.
He's one of the rare, field tilters that are still there, at the quarterback position. Mahomes, Watson, Wilson, Rodgers, guys that can literally win the game for you just on their back. So it'll be really exciting to see which franchise he alters just by being traded there.
I'm making my pick.
Also, shout out to Ryan's photo here on YouTube.
I know. I'm going to throw that back.
That stash is just
look at
shit, dude.
Dude, he's got a legit stash. Look at that.
There's no floor on that stash. It's all ceiling, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Raising the roof on that thing, dude.
Awesome. What are you thinking here, dude? You got 42 seconds.
I'm looking to find some juicers. We've seen the ADPs adjust. ADP has adjusted. You're no longer able to get James Robinson in the 5th. You can't get Keenan Allen in the 6th anymore, like we were seeing in some of our drafts. So I'm having to think a little bit more. And sometimes thinking and talking is hard. Maybe that's why we turn down the radio when we enter a neighborhood and we're trying to find the house.
I turn down the radio when a cop's behind me. I get all nervous. It's weird.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Turn it down. All right, I got to focus now.
Right, hands on the way. What is it? 9-3, or 10-2, 10-2.
Yeah. Well, there, Austin taking the guy I wanted.
Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, I was between. Let's see if I'll wait. I was between Kareem Hunt and Melvin Gordon, and I couldn't decide between the two. I was trying to look up some stats, and then my time ran out, and then I ended up all day.
So that's the truth. The truth isn't that I had 30 seconds left.
I swear to God, though, when I checked back in, I was on one tab looking at the stats. When I go back to the other tab, it tells me 30 seconds, and then all of a sudden it says Kenny Golladay. So
I went with this stack with the Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt stack in our Dynasty startup a couple of years back, where I took Nick Chubb in the 2nd round and then Kareem Hunt like 5 or 6, 7 rounds later. And I'm very happy with that decision. It's one of those rare situations that reminds me of a Tevin Coleman, Devonte Freeman situation in Atlanta a few years back, where it's like, no, you got like a back end RB1 and then like an RB2. And if God forbid anything happens to either one, you get something really good. And they're playable. They're also each other's handcuffs.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
It's a win-win. He was the perfect flex RB2 for a lot of this year. So
yeah, it gives you a little bit of lock in there. Man, Cleveland's a fun one. I'm looking forward to seeing what Cleveland's about. Coach of the year, Baker starting to show up. They were getting it done without wide receivers. I mean, they had wide receivers, but kind of.
Kind of.
Yeah. They got Jarvis Landry and a hurt
Oh my
OBJ.
goodness, you guys. Wait, this
What?
can't be right.
What's going on?
They have Kyle Pitts. I'm just looking at the tight end rankings right now. They have Kyle Pitts, which is the rookie, as right after Zach Ertz on these mock, or the projected ADP. That is wild. That is wild. A rookie tight end being that ranked that high, yeah. I will pass. I will say right now that is a little overvalued. Do not go down that road. We've seen that before. Even the most elite tight ends take a second. I mean, I say this and watch, he lands with like Kansas City, and then everyone goes nuts.
I mean, actually, that would be a bad pick for them. Just bring in the heir apparent.
Right? Like they don't.
Speaking of people moving spots, what do you think is going to happen with Juju? It's been interesting, actually. Like now, we hate on Juju all the time, but when we take his rookie contract production in those 4 years, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, Juju is a baller when he has another wide receiver that can kind of dominate as the number one, and he can be the slot guy and the secondary option to kind of soak up targets. It will be interesting to see what happens. I am selfishly hoping that Green Bay somehow gets a hold of him. I think he's a perfect fit for Green Bay to go opposite Devante Adams, be in the slot. But I mean, even Snap coming in hasn't done anything as an alpha, and I would agree with that. He just has not gotten to the level that we wanted him when we were drafting him as, the fifth or sixth wide receiver off the board after AB left.
I do want to bring up a conversation that's going on. Ryan right here. You fools letting me get Josh Allen this late. I do think Josh Allen is an undervalue right here. We got other people. Josh Allen was a steal there, was going to take him. I do think that Josh Allen is definitely someone that is a quarterback that I'll be targeting a lot this year because I think he is a little bit underrated. You're talking about those tiers. People might not put him up in that top tier, in most people's, tiered out rankings. However, I do think that at the end of the year, he could jump up there because we've seen him continuously improve every single year. And he's also really fun to watch. He now enters that category of like the Pat Mahomes, very entertaining to watch. And I find myself watching a lot of Bills games because
Johnny, I don't know if you saw this quote, but Josh Allen was talking about his other teammates, and they said over there in Buffalo that, Josh Allen, you play quarterback like a linebacker. And I think they meant just he just goes at it, so ferociously and aggressively. And for fantasy, that's a really good quality to have. I mean, he's going to make some dumb decisions just chucking the ball. I mean, that was the story of Josh Allen coming in this year, was that he loves to throw the ball deep. He's just not very good at it. But that can be really good from a fantasy perspective. Even sometimes, hey, if you throw a pick or two or a pick six and your team gets down, that means you're going to force game flow. You're going to stay in a pass-heavy situation. And you got to play catch-up. And Josh Allen is the best quarterback ever to be playing catch-up because he's not going to stop. He's going to keep going. It's almost maybe even better than a Patrick Mahomes, because we saw Patrick Mahomes at the start of the year and even at other games where the team is good. So they don't need him to be a superhero. They just need him to manage the game and win it. But I don't think Josh Allen's going to find himself in a ton of situations like that. I mean, Buffalo is definitely on the up and up. But I think their run game was a little bit disappointing. Their defense was supposed to be elite. It was not. And this forced Josh Allen to have to really step up, and he did it. And it's going to make him an attractive pick next year.
Interesting. So do you think it'll be interesting to see if they bring in another, if there's been a lot of linkage between Aaron Jones and Buffalo, that would be very, very intriguing. And then I think you would see a little bit of a drawback from Josh Allen.
Maybe.
But
I see Josh Allen is Russell Wilson this year. How Russell Wilson started the year, just chucking it, going for it, making it happen. I just think we could see some of that from Josh Allen this year. So Ryan might have gotten the steal of the draft, the number one quarterback.
Yeah.
Round 5. Maybe.
Maybe.
Big Travie. Oh, I thought you took Kenyon Drake. I was thinking about Drake too. Where do you think he ends up?
I wanted Ronald Jones, but Johnny took him. I'm disgusted by this team in the last 2 rounds. I'll just be honest. I don't know where Kenyon Drake ends up. I'd imagine. I mean, I think Atlanta would be a nice fit for Kenyon Drake as a younger version of like a Todd Gurley. You know, Atlanta pops up as a good fit for a lot of these running backs that are out in potential free agency or even the rookies. So Atlanta is usually the typical one I say could be a good fit. And if he stays in Arizona, I think in the 6th round here, I like that. You know, like if everything stays how it's supposed to be, kind of, I don't mind it. I don't think, people are a little burned by Drake, but he wasn't as bad as people make out in their mind.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true. We're closing out the 6th round here. I want to give a rundown of the last 2 rounds that we had going. Jacob Bley at pick 5-1 took Robert Woods out of Los Angeles. Jay Blizzy took Jamar Chase, the incoming rookie, followed by Travis Etienne, rookie as well, coming in. Kenny Galladay, auto pick by Big Travie, Dak Prescott, DJ Chark, Kareem Hunt, Myles Gaskins, Kyler Murray, Cortland Sutton, Josh Allen, and Russell Wilson. They're all gone. Started the 6th round off with Mark Andrews, followed by Melvin Gordon, Aaron Rodgers, Chase Claypool, Brandon Ayuk. I took Leonard Fournette. Johnny took Ronald Jones. I want to talk about that in a second. Odell Beckham was grabbed by Easy Daddy. Big Travie took Kenyon Drake. Javonte Williams, another rookie incoming running back, was grabbed by the News on auto pick. Jay Blizzy here is making his pick. Cooper Kupp was the name, and we'll find out who Jacob Bley takes here in just a second. But what is your guys' takes right now on the Tampa Bay backfield? This was a question mark we had last season. It was a question mark that stayed last season. Leonard Fournette got a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Ronald Jones, though, had some really impressive games. How do you guys see this one shaking out? I know Travie's got to make his pick up first, so I'm going to ask Johnny.
It's funny. You say Ryan chiming in saying, I want Fournette to Atlanta so bad. I think that obviously that would clear up the situation heavily. As of right now, like you said, Ronald Jones showed a lot of growth over this last year. I think he looked really good in the limited role that he got kind of coming back after Fournette kind of took over. Mm-hmm. So again, I think that if with them going back to back, and if Fournette comes back, obviously that hinders Ronald Jones' upside. But I do think that they will go with Ronald Jones and they'll let Leonard Fournette walk just because their cap situation is, I believe, not that great. And they've got a lot of question marks, a lot of things to fill right now. Mm-hmm. And so I don't ultimately think Leonard Fournette comes back. And so, I think that Ronald Jones showed enough flash to say, okay, let's be honest, they gave him the workload in the beginning of the season, and he was great. He was really, really good. And so I think that he will be the running back, and he'll probably end up moving up a little bit in ADP once we do know more of those questions. But sorry.
I was going to say, it was kind of funny with Ronald Jones. We took last year, he was supposed to be that slotted guy, and he was kind of going in the like 3rd, 4th, 5th round kind of thing.
And speaking of someone that was going on, the snap side, surprised Johnny hasn't taken David Johnson yet. Wow, dude, shots fired. David Johnson wasn't that bad. He wasn't. He actually was not bad at all.
What did he finish?
Wasn't that bad. He wasn't that good.
Look, he's right here. I'm going to tell you, he was. I'm pretty sure
he ended up. Year too.
Yeah. Let's see.
This can't be right.
This can't be right. Well, okay. I guess when you look at it from an overall season, because he missed so much, he wasn't a top 12. But when he played, he was good. I got to make a pick, or else I'm going to run out of time here. And then we could dive more into the David Johnson if we want to. Matt really wants to talk about Calvin Ridley. He's mentioned it twice. Calvin Ridley's a steal.
He might be. He went after Julio Jones, and I said on the last draft last week that it's the Calvin Ridley show now. It's he is the number 1 wide receiver in Atlanta. It's no real knock on Julio either. It was just Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley before last year didn't have a 1,000-yard season. All right, and Devante Adams only had 1,000-yard season, but we were just like going off about these guys, and it was like people who went off are right, like they were right. Calvin Ridley broke out last year, and he looked like he is fully legit. And Julio Jones is one of the best of all time. So the question is really, where does he stand? But like, Calvin Ridley has done his own damn thing. Good for him.
What's great about Calvin Ridley is he scores the touchdowns, man, and he's done it at a great rate since he got in the league. And so you can say that's fluky, but you can also say this is something he's consistently done, and it is unfortunately, conversely, something that Julio has not done and score touchdowns. So that is where I think he gets the edge, is because he's able to get in the end zone. I'm excited to see what these guys can do under Arthur Smith. If they get a good running game in there involved as well, I think there's a good bounce back year in order for the Atlanta Falcons, at least on the offensive side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Austin, you went to Devontae Parker. I was looking at him or Tyler Boyd there. I went with Boyd because of PPR, but I like Parker too, man. I was looking hard at Parker there.
I think he's going to keep climbing. I think what Devontae Parker did last year was overcome a lot of little ailing ailments that 3 years ago he would have sat down for.
And he overcame the difference in quarterbacks too. He
Right.
had two different quarterbacks for a lot of that. Yeah.
He didn't look great, but when you really look at what he did, I think there's a couple of tweaks that just could get made. I think a full off season and a full new mindset Devontae Parker has. I think he's going to be a very, very strong wide receiver too this year. I think he's going to be really good. And unless something really weird happens, like a major medical issue, I like him. I like everything. I think all the arrows are lining up for him to have a successful season.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Right after Devontae Parker went Deontay Johnson, I just want to bring up this comment from the Cat's Pajamas. He said, thoughts on Deontay Johnson if Juju leaves and Big Ben stays?
I mean, I don't ever think it was really the situation's fault with Deontay Johnson. He got so many targets. He just did not catch them all. He did a lot of up and down play when he did get the ball in space. I remember talking to Johnny about some of our frustrations when Deontay Johnson would catch the ball maybe behind the line of scrimmage and try to do too much. So if he can work some of the inconsistencies out of his game, I think he's going to have a really bright, not just next season, but like he's got the juice on paper to be a really good wide receiver.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I think that once again, you're getting him a little bit later or a little bit earlier than you were last year, but you're not getting that significant increase in what I guess there is still a lot up in the air, and that's why his ADP hasn't fully adjusted. But I expect that if that were to happen where, Juju, which I don't expect to be back, but if that does end up happening and then Big Ben comes back, I mean, you have to think Deontay plays really well into Big Ben's game because Big Ben can't throw deep very, very well or very often. And so that allows those routes to be caught by Deontay Johnson. And so, and especially in a PPR league, I think I would still be willing to draft him in the 7th round. I think is a good value to me. Just as similar, I do think Devontae Parker is a good value in the 7th as well.
Deontay Johnson or Marquis Brown coming into 2021 with what we know now, if everything kind of goes the way we kind of expect it to.
I would take Deontay. I think the volume is the king there. I wish Marquis was getting a similar volume and from a seasoned quarterback there, but Marquis just scares me. I just don't think he's going to pop like we thought.
The offense just scares me. Outside of Lamar Jackson, that's the only player. And even with him, I'm still not totally sold. I mean, I got him in Dynasty. I love that. But it's like we talked about the issues John Harbaugh brings for the running backs. When you always have another running back or two to go along with your number one, it doesn't matter how good a receiver Marquise Brown is. If Lamar Jackson's only throwing the ball 20 times and he spreads it around, doesn't really manage. Doesn't really matter how fast Marquise Brown is because he didn't turn enough of those opportunities into the touchdowns I think we expected him to last year.
Yeah,
not going to change.
I mean, down the stretch it did. Down the stretch he caught fire, and so it's like you got to expect him. I mean, if you're drafting him, you got to expect that to continue. Now, I think it can. I think Lamar Jackson was starting to figure out some things again. But as far as like Deontay versus Brown, like I to piggyback off of what Travis said, we've seen it from Deontay. So, and we've seen it twice, really, because we saw it his rookie year as well. And so I would go with that. And then the snap saying 128 vacated targets with Juju gone. Now it'd be interesting to see if they do draft another receiver or if they just plan on having Washington because Washington looked really, really good as well. Oh, look, the snap saying Marquise Brown puke face.
That was a perfect point there. The snap bringing into the 128 vacated targets. It just made the answer to me so much clearer. You go with the opportunity. We talk about that all the time. Opportunity is king in fantasy football. And the problem with Marquise Brown is the opportunity, and none of that opportunity is really going to change. Lamar Jackson is still the quarterback. John Harbaugh is still the coach. Regardless if Big Ben is there or not, I expect them to throw the ball a lot. And that's going to be really good for their wide receivers. And they like to focus in on a limited amount. And Juju gone, I think it's good news for Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson.
Mm-hmm. Chase Claypool's another exciting one that I think could just really stand to benefit from the exit of Juju, as Austin just kind of alluded to.
And probably, to be honest, the exit of Big Ben, because he could get it. If he gets the ball down the field more, gets like those 50-50 balls, like, oh my goodness. Could you imagine if Deshaun Watson goes to Pittsburgh? Oh my goodness. That would be disgusting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Scary.
And then you're talking like, I think Claypool could then see a lot of 50-50. Oh my goodness. Just thinking about that right now is just getting me hot and bothered, guys. Oh my goodness. I think I just found I'm not a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So for like, from that aspect, I hope they don't get him, but just from like the excitement of all the fantasy pieces, the fantasy gold that would be, there, and the potential. Oh my goodness. He would no doubt, I would say this right now.
You're saying it.
Say it.
If he goes to Pittsburgh, he will be the quarterback one next year. He will be the undoubtedly.
He's not going to Pittsburgh. He's not going to Pittsburgh.
I don't think he is going there, but I'm just.
He's not.
Hey, you were out on Fournette, though, man. You called Fournette with Tampa Bay last year, John. I think we clipped that.
I was pretty excited about that, not going to lie.
It's a good hit. And guys, I want to know about the wide receiver situation here in San Francisco. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. Deebo Samuel's hurt a lot. What do you guys? Who's going to be the alpha next year? What should we keep an eye out? Pretending Jimmy G is still the quarterback. We got so many wide receivers.
Wait, say that one more time. Sorry, I was reading the comment.
I'm talking about wide receivers in San Francisco and who you guys expect to stack out as maybe the 1 and 2. How good of a 1 and 2 will those guys be? We just said Marquise Brown. I know he's going to be the number 1 wide receiver, but I really am not interested in him being on my team. But Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk to me are a little bit different, and I wanted to know what your take was because they got so many high pedigree players that have had injuries, haven't panned out. We've got Ayuk, we've got Sam, we've got more guys too.
Yeah, I mean, it's Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk are the 1 and 2. Brandon Ayuk is the 1, Deebo Samuel's the 2. The reason why they're both really good is because they're both really good after the catch. Like you look at Deebo Samuel, that guy's like a pit bull, and so they love to give him the ball around the line of scrimmage because he can just create yards like that, and like it's hard to tackle him as well. So that's how they use him. They'll move him around and stuff. Whereas like Brandon Ayuk, they'll just get him in space as more crosses, things like that. They use him for the big chunk plays as well. I like them both. I think that's an offense where they just move the ball very efficiently, and depending on who they get at quarterback, because that's the other really, really hot team that is in the quarterbacks, they're rumored to be trading for some kind of quarterback, whether that's Kirk Cousins, they're Deshaun Watson, Sam, whatever it might be. I think that they have the weapons that would make it really, really intriguing, and I'd be willing to draft them both.
What about Deshaun Watson in San Francisco?
Yeah, that would be very juicy as well. Not as much of like a hot and bothered as the Steelers for me, but 49er. I just once again, as a Cardinals fan, like I don't want to see them get Deshaun Watson. Like that sucks. That would suck for a Cardinals fan. We have a couple of comments here I just want to throw up to give shout out because we got some good research going on here. Ryan Wee says Justin Herbert's ADP will likely have the most influence on where I draft at quarterback in 2021. Hard to pass on Josh Allen in the 5th, but if I can get Herbert 3 rounds later, sign me up. I think that's pretty good. And then Snap came in. Look at DJ's numbers, getting the ball from Hodges, Rudolph, and geriatric Big Ben, still an increase in 52 targets from 2019 to 2020. So they were just touching back on that.
I think Mike Tomlin likes to throw the ball, right? He's got Mason Rudolph and his punchable face up there, still throwing the ball.
Yeah, we'll see how much that changes. They've got Randy Fichtner they let go of, who was the longtime coordinator for them and Ben's former QB coach. So some things changing. I don't think it'll be a drastic change. Tomlin's still there, but they've got a lot of turnover. Pittsburgh's going to be a different offense. Juju's going to be leaving potentially. You could potentially see James Conner leaving. They're going to have some turnover. Maybe Big Ben leaves. Who knows what happens there? So it's an interesting offense to take note of and see how that changes.
It is an interesting one.
Strip club Dwayne could be the starter. Who knows?
Yeah.
Let's see where he pans out. But we do know where the last 2 rounds in our mock draft panned out. I want to give a rundown here of 7 and 8. We saw Jacob Bley, number 1 fan, take Tyler Lockett at the 7-1 spot. TJ Hawkinson was gone after that, followed by Juju Smith-Schuster, Tyler Boyd, Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert. By game time, I took Devontae Parker. Deontay Johnson's gone. A.J. Dillon gone. Marquis Brown, Jarvis Landry, Kyle Pitts off the board to close out the 7th. I didn't notice that A.J. Dillon was taken that early.
We're late.
Yeah, he was way down. He's 188, and right now we're at 52. So I don't think that's a bad. That's not a bad pick. That's just ADP getting adjusted to itself. 8th round, Trevor Lawrence is off the board. T.Y. Hilton gone. Will Fuller, Rashad Bateman, Justin Herbert, Zach Moss, Deebo Samuel, Michael Pittman, Tony Pollard, Jerry Jeudy, Randall Moore, and Michael Gallup there to close out the 8th round. We're starting with the 9th, Jacob Bley. What were you saying, Johnny?
I just want to point out the snap keeps wanting to at me at the DJ David Johnson numbers. Just curious.
No. Deontay Johnson.
Oh, Deontay Johnson. Okay, I thought they were saying.
Yeah. Calm down,
David Johnson.
Listen, hey, he's not coming.
I was like, yo.
Yeah.
I was like, yo,
Johnny.
hold on, no,
dude,
because I got the corrected numbers.
You were on topic, dude. No.
Okay, I said I got the corrected numbers, and David Johnson was an RB2 and only played in 12 games. So
part of me and Austin's job around here is to make sure we don't let the rabid dog out.
Yeah,
Johnny over there, and we got to get him. Put him behind, dude. Put him on the chain for a little while.
We weren't here. We have a rabies epidemic going through. You think COVID's bad? Wait till everybody's
unreal.
It's the run for rabies awareness, like in The Office, man. We're gonna have a fun run for it.
This snap says very punchable. He's referring to Mason Rudolph. And hey, I'm sorry if you are a Mason Rudolph fan. I just got to say why, and that's it. Yeah. I don't know. That guy to me just rubs me the wrong way, and he's like underwear made of sandpaper. That's what
God!
Oh gosh!
He probably wears that too.
Oh my God! I'm gonna get real toxic if I start talking about Mason.
What underwear he wears?
I think we might have found a new bet that we can bring up for our spin the wheel. For our spin the wheel bet would be you have to wear for show. Sandpaper in your underwear.
You didn't even want to get shocked by a funny taser.
No, that sounds. It wasn't a funny taser. It was a real. Taser. It was a real taser,
knows, dude. You start with a taser, then you're jump starting your nipples. Nobody knows, but we gotta open up. This is entertainment. It's for the people, Johnny.
It's for the people, Johnny. We got 13 people watching us right now.
That would love to see you get tased right now.
Hey,
who are you to deny it?
Whisper Nation, if you're listening in and you'd like to see Johnny get attacked by a cattle prod, please let us know.
Oh my gosh. Why are you guys offering me up as bait for the worst torture things?
I know. It's bad. No, we're kidding, Johnny. We're kidding. Kind of.
Kind of. Unreal. You guys are unbelievable.
Hey, I never asked you to do something I wouldn't do, though, and I did that last night, so it's fine.
Oh, that's Whispers After Dark, all right?
Yeah.
You got to be on the Patreon subscription list to catch access to that.
That's right. Link to the Cash App in our bio.
We now accepting Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And Ethereum.
Yeah. Oh, my Lord.
So I ended up going with Tony Pollard and Henderson. We talked a little bit about Henderson earlier. Yeah. I think Tony Pollard's kind of in that same category as a guy who could get some increased role than what we saw. I know they've got Zeke, and Zeke's their boy, and Zeke's going to eat and all that, but Pollard showed some flash last year. I'm excited to see what he can do, maybe in an extended role.
Yeah, I think that's a really good pickup. I think that I'm not surprised. I'll just say this: I'm not surprised if we end up seeing Ezekiel Elliott playing less than 50% of the snaps come week 10 of this upcoming year. We saw Mark Ingram start off the year as the unquestioned number 1 and get relegated to the bench duties. We saw Todd Gurley as their high-paid, number 1, who then Ito Smith ended up being their number 1 at the end of the year. Movement happens, and I think that Ezekiel Elliott's, unless he has like a come to Jesus, I'm going to really take a moment and Frank Gore my situation over here. I just don't know why he would, though. Like, I don't think that the situation in Dallas is that awesome. I think Jerry Jones is kind of like a hit and miss kind of inspirational leader. Like when he loves you, it's great, but he puts you out on the cold real fast, as does Brian, and then like you're gone, and then that's that. And I think Ezekiel Elliott, I'm not surprised if we see this coming through with Ezekiel Elliott. It's like you guys don't really have a real shot at winning a championship. You've given so many good years, Ezekiel Elliott. You have earned your spot as a top-level mention in the running back world. I don't know if you've got what it takes to be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if your team has what it takes to make a deep run. And so from that perspective, why would you burn your body? Why would you go all the way? I just don't see the tea leaves. And I don't see him being the kind of guy who just wants to do its sake. Maybe that's
he's definitely more. Yeah, he likes to party. I don't know that he's the guy that's like cares about breaking any records. He just hasn't shown it yet. I don't want to discredit him that much and be like, oh yeah, he doesn't want to be great, but he just hasn't shown that he wants to be great. He showed that he wants to play, get the massive contract, play for the Dallas Cowboys,
do his job,
and do all the extracurricular stuff. We'll have to see what happens there. It's some dynamics there that are going on. Johnny, you went Jameson Crowder here. I looked at Crowder as well for the last couple rounds. You think that, no matter what happens with the QB situation there, you like Crowder to kind of soak up targets, PPR?
Yeah, I mean, he's always been kind of an underrated wide receiver. I was looking at these wide receivers, man. They've gotten nasty. I mean,
oh yeah.
Talking about Brandon Cooks. Once again, I'm kind of leaning more as Brandon Cooks isn't going to have Deshaun Watson. I would probably take him over. Actually, I don't. Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I would still go Jameson Crowder. I am intrigued by now that Jameson Crowder and the entire franchise is now away from the Adam Gase nastiness. What this potential of this franchise could be. And we've seen Chase Edmonds. That's a very good pick, Austin. So I just, and once again, I needed a wide receiver, and I was just looking at the ones that were available, and I just think that Jameson Crowder has the highest upside in a PPR league. I'm not going to go AJ Green. That's nasty. Julian Edelman, maybe. I don't know what their quarterback situation is going to be like as of right now. Marvin Jones, once again, he's a free agent. Emmanuel Sanders, what's his upside right now?
Speaking on those names, I just got to say something right now to put in the world to sink into my own brain. I'm presenting this as useful information for the world to take in, but it's really just so I don't do something stupid in this upcoming draft, and I need to sink that in. And it's don't link your wagon to a horse that you're just going to be bummed out about. Like AJ Green is the perfect example. Maybe someone who's like a little like an AJ Green plus of a guy who's going to be really hard to drop. A guy who's fallen down, and you end up taking him, and you're like, this guy's
he's not going to get up, dude.
He's not going to get up, but he might have a couple games here and there, and he might have a good role on the offense, and you're like, but maybe. And remember, no, just save yourself the trouble. Don't hook up to that horse. Go find some new news.
He might be pressing that life alert button, but you just got to ignore it. Sorry. Get the next ambulance as you go by.
I know you're on the ground in your kitchen. That's where you're going to stay.
Yeah.
No one's coming.
Oh, man.
Hopefully you got some Cliff Bars. You're on your own.
Oh, man. Ryan chiming back in here. Zeke, he wants to get some Zeke conversation here. Zeke's problem started when Dak went down. He was the RB4 over the first 4 weeks. He'd be a top guy again in 2021 as long as Dak is back. Interesting.
I said
interesting
before,
take.
first 5 weeks, Zeke had 5 rushing touchdowns. After Dak went out, it was like at least 8 or 9 weeks until he got another rushing touchdown after that. So that's a good point, but let's see.
Are you going to take him?
He didn't get a rushing touchdown
maybe
until week
Jonathan.
17.
Maybe
Week
you would
17.
take him over Jonathan Taylor. But would you take him over Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, and Saquon? I don't know if I would
consider him over Saquon. Saquon's a hard one for me to wrap my head around. I just don't know if I have trust issues on Saquon, but
I think you have
Ryan's
trust issues with
point.
the Giants, is what it is.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't I?
They took Daniel Jones the 6th overall spot.
Yeah, they're not.
When they could have gotten him at the 17th.
They could have done a lot of things. Here we are. Saquon Barkley Super is that interesting one, but I think for me, I would take the question becomes: is it Zeke or Josh Jacobs? I got fair question marks for both of those guys right now. That's where it would stack up for me. I gotta make my pick.
It might be one of those. Years where you get Zeke at a discount. If Ryan's, Ryan's point is made, and Dak comes back healthy, this could be a year where you get Zeke at the end of the first, beginning of the second, and then you're sitting there with a top 5 guy at the end of the year. So,
all right. So then let me ask you, if that's the question, if that's the answer, I guess, then is the question: is Zeke this year's Alvin Kamara? Because the same thing happened last year, right? Where Alvin Kamara was injured. There was a lot of information
but
coming
Alvin
out.
Didn't go at the back of the first.
What about Chris Carson?
He did.
Maybe Chris Carson is an all right.
No. No, Alvin Kamara went in the back half of the first round last year.
No, he went in the middle of the first last year. He was not in the back of the back.
Okay,
of the
Zeke went here
110.
110. Alvin Kamara went 107, 108. It's basically around the same position. You're getting him at a major discount when he's going in the top 3, top 4 is what I was trying to say.
That's for sure. But Alvin Kamara's question marks have lingered with him his entire career, and it's because he's not a volume-based running back. When have we seen a guy who's been such a consistent performer who regularly gets less than 15 carries? That's not Ezekiel Elliott. He's a monster. Feed the beast, keep him going.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just Kamara is just such a weird. He's such a real talent, and we've had to say his talent is going to overcome his opportunity, because Alvin Kamara's opportunity is the worst of any running back taken in the first 3 rounds.
Yeah, Kamara is definitely that anomaly when you talk about fantasy football. You want a guy to have volume, but if he doesn't have volume, he's got to be super efficient. And we've made the argument, for years, maybe that efficiency will tail off. It just doesn't do it. And he does a ton of work to make sure he stays efficient, the balance work that he does to make sure that he is the guy that bounces off of people. So that's what kind of gives you a little bit more faith in his high efficiency. But yeah, it's definitely a lot. It's faith. It's sometimes it's not as trustworthy as you'd like.
That's why they call it faith.
Yeah,
it's clear to me, regardless of where he lands, Ezekiel Elliott has begun the path that we've seen so many other good running backs in his era walk down. Todd Gurley, David Johnson. These are guys who once they start losing that edge, you don't get that edge back. You just don't.
Nope. And it goes fast.
The one argument I will make in Zeke's case is it hasn't been for his body's sake, as in the other 2 examples. Gurley hit a wall with his arthritic knee. David Johnson had a back issue, a wrist issue, some other things bothering him as well. Zeke has yet to be, kind of tainted by injury.
You're right.
So we'll have to see.
Well,
I agree.
He was injured with the calf injury. But I once again, I'm not going to say that that's a significant injury I'm just being a little devil's advocate here on that. But I do agree with what you're saying. But he's got a lot of carries on him, on that body. He has a lot of carries.
He had a lot at Ohio State, and he's got a lot in the NFL. So
it's going to definitely be one of the names that's really, really exciting to look at, as are some of the names that we saw going in the 9th and 10th rounds, which we are coming to an end with. I'm going to run those ones down here for our listeners. We got Alexander Madison, who started off the 9th round, taken by Jacob Bley, followed by Kenneth Gainwell. Joe Burrow is gone. Darrell Henderson is 2 by Big Travie. Equinemius St. Brown off the board by Easy Daddy. Jameson Crowder and Chase Edmonds taken by Johnny, then myself. Damian Harris, David Johnson, Marlon Mack, James Conner, and Brandon Cooks to close out the 9th round. We saw the 10th start with Robbie Anderson, who was thinking about him. Sterling Shepard, Tariq Cohen, Chuba Hubbard. We're going to hear more about these rookie names as the seasons progress, or the months progress.
Chuba Hubbard.
Fun one, right?
Yeah.
Evan Ingram, Mike Gesicki, Todd Gurley. Matt Stafford is gone, as is Noah Fant. Tom Brady, the endless one, is off the board. And Jacob Bley here is closing out the 10th round with his pick of Ryan Tannehill.
Ryan
3
here
more left.
saying, I love that you guys brought up JT and Saquon. In my very early rankings, I have JT at 5, Zeke at 6, and Saquon at 7. Wouldn't be mad to land any of them if I'm stuck at the back half of the draft. So that's how he had them.
Who would you guys want the most? Who would you just be the most excited about when your eyes are closed, your smile is the biggest? Thinking about those guys.
Like the ceiling play for either of those
Just
guys?
who would you want? Like you're roster baiting after drafting those guys, and who would you want to see on your team?
JT.
I think Jonathan Taylor's going to get it. I think Jonathan Taylor's the guy. Took him in a lot of drafts last year, so I was invested quite across a lot of leagues with him. And having to wait so long, it's like sweat equity, it felt like. Like I had so much invested in him to wait so long for him to kind of bust onto the scene, especially because Johnny was out here for week 1. We watched week 1 together, and there was a play where they did a little screen pass to Jonathan Taylor, and they were working Marlon Mack and Naheem Hines in that game, but they did a little screen pass to Jonathan Taylor. That was one of the most exciting plays I watched all year. It was like a 60-yard screen pass, but like
we were going nuts.
We were going nuts on that. So yeah, I just think I would be really excited because if all things hit, he would be
Carson
the guy.
Wentz,
I think it's too tantalizing.
It's a number 1 situation. It's got the number 1 written all over it. High pedigree back, big talent, good line. The competition behind him exists, but it really shouldn't. After Marlon Mack is out of the picture, no, none of these guys are on JT's level. I like him.
I agree. I think Football Therapist had a few guys he's excited about. If we want to throw those up, Johnny.
Yeah, let me get back to those comments. He said
JT, CD Lamb, T. Higgins for me right now. Some guys that he's going to be smiling big, as Austin was saying after he drafted him. Do you have a couple more guys, Austin, that you're thinking about that would make you smile pretty big?
Are you thinking early, middle, or later on?
You know who I thought of for you, not to answer the question, was Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
Well, for your team, Austin, I was thinking Terry McLaurin. When you took him, I was like, ooh, I think like all things hit there.
Yeah.
I think he's one of those guys.
Terry McLaurin gets me very excited because he is the focus of the offense. He's the kind of guy that you're going to get multiple coaches. Hell, they might hire coaches to come in and just specifically work with Terry McLaurin. You know what I mean, though?
Yeah.
You see more words coming out this year. They're already being like, if Terry McLaurin had anybody on the opposite side of him, he would just be doing insane things.
Yeah, Richard Sherman was talking about that. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna answer more of this. I got to jump in.
Yeah, no, I felt like I set you up
for failure there. Sorry about that.
I'll pick it up because I'm a huge Terry McLaurin fan as well. I think this guy is elite. We know his talent is elite. Right now, the only thing bringing down his ADP to where it's at from being, in the discussion of those 3rd round wide receivers is just his quarterback play. If he gets a good quarterback to go to Washington, then just a consistent quarterback, right? Then I think that you could definitely see his ADP start to climb. And I quietly hope it stays where it's at because he would be a sleeper wide receiver that I would love to get this year in a lot of leagues. Because the talent is definitely there. People just look at that offense and say, oh, I don't want to be a part of that offense. But whether he does, and I do expect Washington to bring in another wide receiver, but regardless or not, you can tell that Terry McLaurin's a different type of wide receiver. He's an alpha. And he's awesome.
There's definitely I agree with all those ones there. Some of the other names, it's mainly more of these guys coming up and into their own. I'm actually pretty excited about CEH. I don't know if the bargain is going to be there for him, but this is a guy who I expect based on the 2nd year rule from the running back slot of him taking a big jump. And this will be a guy taking a big jump for what I still think is going to be the number one offense in the NFL, who's going to have so many options and weapons that you can never load the box against him. I like CEH from that perspective.
CEH has kind of like, not to cut you off, Austin, but like the old Todd Gurley kind of effect. We saw Todd Gurley slip into the second round the year before his monster year, his 2 monster years. I mean, we could see something like that in CEH's wheelhouse. Like, goes at a super discount this year, but actually ends up where people were taking him last year in the top 5 at the running back position. So yeah, I tend to lean on your side of thinking with CEH. I think he could easily pop this year, and the discounts there.
Right. And so if you're agreeing with this one, and if you're listening to some of these words and you're liking what you're hearing, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel here. If you're following on YouTube, hit the bell, hit the thumb, hit the subscribe button. It really allows us to keep doing what we're doing and connect with more people. And this really is a team effort here of bringing in thoughts and ideas and helping each other gain advantages over our respective leagues. So join the party here. Help make the whole team better. That's what we're about here. And thanks. Big shout out to everybody we got in the YouTube chat, everybody on Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, OnlyFans, everywhere we're streaming. It's great to see you all chiming in here.
Real quick before, because we had people were chiming in with some of their early sleepers or people they're watching out for, but Ryan touched on something. He said, what quarterback do you guys want to see land in Washington?
Deshaun Watson.
He put free agent or draft. If Fitzmagic ends up there, I'd be grabbing Mclaren in every draft. So, Fitzmagic, I love me some Fitzmagic.
Fitzmagic is such a Washington pickup.
Dude,
I'm so glad he mentioned that. That is like no, we're not going to draft a guy. We're not even going to trade for anybody. We're going to sign Fitzmagic and roll it back another year.
Honestly, that could be the best PR move that they could do, because everyone loves Fitzmagic. Everyone loves Fitzmagic. Who wasn't rooting for him? Who wasn't upset when he got benched last year for Tua? Because everyone's like, this guy's killing it. Why does he deserve to be benched? So I do like that one. Got me excited.
Riverboat Ron, winning games, beating opponents, and beating cancer the same week. You got Alex Smith, the comeback player of the century award that comes through. Like they changed their name, the Washington football team. They're like quickly turning in, Stan Snyder aside, turning into one of like the most wholesome franchises in the NFL. And it's like, keep this momentum rolling. I almost like it. Like, let's get Fitzmagic in there. Let's get him as MVP. Let's get him maybe a first round playoff win. I don't know if they're going to have much more than that, but work it. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Draft somebody other than Stripper McNasty.
Yeah. Austin, you have a pick here. I want to throw up Eric Zubert put his guys he's watching out for sleepers are Pittman, Harris, and Kelsey. Najee Harris, the rookie there. Definitely a lot of people intrigued at where he might go. Hopefully Atlanta, something like that. And then we have the football therapist saying, so rookies for Dynasty, I want Bateman and Gainwell. We've talked about them on previous mock drafts. Do like both of those guys. Do any, we've heard Pittman, now Kelsey, Jonathan Taylor, CeeDee Lamb, T. Higgins. Do you guys have any other guys or you want to talk about any of those guys? T. Higgins is a guy that is a little bit of a value right now because of he started quite hot and then it kind of faded a little bit when Joe Burrow got injured. Not as many people were paying attention to the Bengals, but he was still quietly putting up numbers. And if they let AJ Green go, that could be a guy that could definitely take a big leap going into year 2.
Yeah, love T. Higgins prospects for next year. Antonio Gibson, who we touched on, J.K. Dobbins, DeAndre Swift, we touched on at the beginning of this show. Those are some guys I'm excited. There's some guys I'm excited to see where they could land free agency-wise. Also, I want to ask you about a guy that I'm looking at in the 3rd round right now, in Joe Mixon, and what you think about his prospects, because he'll be a discount. We were taking this guy in the 1st round. Yeah, the offense should be a little bit better if he stays healthy. Burrow back. Are you interested in taking that gamble at the 3rd round price?
I am now. I was really ragging on Joe Mixon last year, in the mock draft when we were doing realistic mock drafts, like around August. I just didn't buy in. I'm like, the Bengals are still a bad offense. They're still a bad team. He's good, but he's not great. And I just didn't think he had the highest ceiling or the highest floor. I just didn't really see a big reason to do it. But now a lot of new factors are coming in. A little bit of the shine has been taken off of Joe Mixon's name after a less than stellar year. He was injured. He's not as shiny. People, I think, are going to think he's older than he actually is, though. Joe Mixon's a name we're pretty darn familiar with, but he's still like 24, 25 years old. So he doesn't have enough tread on the tires where I'm worried about him. I think Joe Burrow is legit, and they look really, really good with him behind center. So that's going to improve the halfbacks prospects. More first downs are good for everybody. And his rank has fallen back. So now it's actually pretty kind of shiny. He's almost like I keep bringing his name up, but like a Chris Carson was this year. Like he's a guy who you might think is faded, you think is a little washed, a little tired, but you can actually look at all the reasons why he's had less than stellar seasons and say that those don't exist this year. Yes, this is the most I'm excited for Joe Mixon.
I think this is the right price for the guy. I think he can really only go up from here. If you're looking at running back in the third round, you're already wary of running back at that level. You know, somebody's going to probably not. You're more likely to get a bust in the third round. But Joe Mixon, you painted it perfectly there. Has a lot of the up arrows you'd want in a younger guy, in a younger system, with a gunslinging quarterback, some of the things that are around him. So just wanted to touch on him a bit. He's been kind of a quieter guy we haven't talked about, but going to be some big decisions for fantasy GMs on Joe Mixon this offseason.
And I think a lot of the decisions that the front office for the Bengals makes from the draft room are going to impact that too. Because are you surprised if they actually spend a first or second round pick on a running back? Like it'd be a little bit weird, but it was weird when the Packers took a quarterback with their first round.
Yeah, too. I wouldn't be surprised because it's the Bengals, right? You know, but I would kind of be surprised just based on the fact because I think they need line, and we saw that with Joe Burrow, you know, getting smashed on play after play. They've needed line for a few years now, and they've just got to keep investing and hopefully get it, you know, put together there. But yeah, it wouldn't be beyond the Bengals to do something outlandish like draft a running back.
Just protect Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow will carry that organization for the next decade. Just keep him safe. Get a bunch of tier 2, tier 3 wide receivers. It don't matter. Just get them.
Do not Andrew Luck him.
Do not.
Jalen Bley. Dang it.
Oh, Jalen Hurts. I missed that.
I really wanted to get him in this last round.
That's okay, dude. You can get Cam Newton, bro. It's like the same thing.
Yeah. It's the same thing, basically.
Jameis Winston might be the same thing, though.
Oh, yes.
I hate that.
Jameis Winston, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be the quarterback there.
And take Taysom Hill. He might be.
He could be. But it wasn't like it wasn't that I'm like, oh, I have to get another quarterback. He was very intriguing to me, and I thought that getting him in the 13th round, even though I have Deshaun Watson, is a very, very good value. And so that's why I was a little perturbed.
Remember Minshew Mania?
Yeah.
That was
who said that's dead? Don't tell Big Travie that.
Don't put money down. He's gonna take a job from Trevor Lawrence. We got a battle ahead of us.
Hey, what about him in Washington? Huh? What about him in Washington?
Your boy Carry-On sitting here for you, Johnny, right there.
Oh gosh, gross.
I know he's going to be the number 1 running back in Detroit this year, so make sure you grab him.
Can I talk you guys into Adrian Peterson? Anyone? Adrian Peterson.
I got a Kenyon Drake if you're interested.
Ooh, I will take though a Rashad Penny.
No doubt. You've been doing that.
You've been drafting Rashad Penny for the last 4 years. Dude.
Yeah, dude. Chris Carson. Who knows if he comes back? He's a free agent, so that could be a nice little pick there. You guys making fun of me with my.
Could be.
It could be, man.
Yeah,
could be.
Gotta love mock drafts in February.
That's right.
Just getting steals.
Oh my goodness. Starting running back here for the Jets. Love that. Yummy.
As it stands now, yes.
Yeah, as of this very moment.
So guys, we're coming to the end of what's today? It's February the 22nd mock draft. For those of y'all who are not with us normally, what we do is each one of us, myself, Big Travie, Johnny, we run down our teams, tell you a little bit what we're thinking, and then each one of us take turns going through everybody else's team who drafted alongside us, doing a quick breakdown and providing our infamous draft grades. So if you thought we were done in 3 picks, you're wrong. We're not. We've got a bunch more cool stuff coming up ahead, and you'll have to let us know who did the best between myself, Johnny, and Travis. We're coming to the end. If you haven't hit like and subscribe yet, y'all already know what to do. Please go ahead, hit that bell, hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe. Allows us to continue doing what we're doing. I want to give a quick rundown here of the last 2 rounds, actually 3 rounds, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Because those are the ones we left off on. Rob Gronkowski started us off at 11-1. Gus Edwards, Michael Carter, Henry Ruggs, Carson Wentz, Jalen Reagor, Devin Singletary, Corey Davis, Laviska Shenault, James White, Le'Veon Bell, Trey Sermon is gone. We start the 12th round off with Tevin Coleman, Dallas Goedert, Jonas Smith, Hunter Henry, a lot of tight ends. Curtis Samuel, Baker Mayfield, a couple more tight ends. Tyler Higbee, Robert Tonyan, Mecole Hardman, Terrence Marshall, Tylan Wallace, and Zach Ertz are gone. Jalen Hurts started the 13th off, followed by Hayden Hurst, De'Ami Brown, Christian Kirk, Darnell Mooney, Rashad Penny, Michael Pirine, Denzel Mims, Irv Smith, Marv Jones, Cole Kmet, and Sammy Watkins, taken by Reed Tyler, is the last pick in this mock draft. We're all done, guys.
We did it.
We did it. We did it. Hooray. All right. Well, now we got to get these infamous draft grades. We'll just break down this. We'll start with Big Travie. How about that? Does that sound good? And then I'll go, and then Austin, since.
Yeah. So I went Alvin Kamara, DK Metcalf, George Kittle. Was able to kind of put the 3 elites that I wanted to do together, especially in PPR. I felt really good about this. Draft got a little bit away from me here after that, I'd say. I like Adam Thielen. I think that's a fine wide receiver too, especially in PPR, especially if Kirk Cousins stays in town. Just seems to be the chemistry's there. Kenny Golladay was an auto draft. I did not want to do that, but those things happen when you're mocking around in February. Ended up going to try and recoup some of my bench here. I went Kenyon Drake. We went Tony Pollard, Darrell Henderson, Tyler Boyd. Darrell Henderson, Tony Pollard, even Drake, depending on where depending on where Drake's at, I think these are going to be some undervalued guys that'll just help you piece together a more top-heavy unit, which I think I had. And then Matthew Stafford. Honestly, I didn't see Jalen Hurts. I thought he was gone, and I should have looked a little bit harder. I would have even taken Jalen Hurts there. I think Jalen Hurts, projects to be top 10 with, some nice upside. So, but Stafford should sling it around. The offense should be good for the Rams. I don't mind him here. And then, quarterback something where if things go wrong with Stafford, I can stream. And then I just took some shots on some guys to be late breakouts, Christian Kirk, Mecole Hardman, but then also Henry Ruggs. I think this is a guy that, is going to be a sleeper coming into this year. Second-year wide receiver, should be more adapt to the offense. And I think Gruden's going to try and make sure he gets the ball a ton this year. First-round pick, first wide receiver taken off the board last year in the real draft. So, I just it was kind of a vanilla team for me after my first 3 picks, but I'm okay with how I adapted.
I like your last 3 dice rolls there on the wide receivers: Henry Ruggs, Mecole Hardman, and Christian Kirk. Those are all high upside, could pop, young dudes.
Yeah, hoping to kind of replace my Kenny Golladay pick at some point.
All right, I'll jump in here then, and I'll break down my team. I'm like Big Travie. I don't know if I like this one per se, but I went with it. I just went with the ebbs and flows here. So 106 spot, took Derrick Henry in the first. We had a debate on, that whole thing, Derrick Henry, Chubb, and Saquon. I went Derrick Henry on this one. Then I went Aaron Jones in the second round. I took Mike Evans in the third. Was debating between him and Julio. Ended up going Mike Evans. I took Deshaun Watson in the fourth. We talked about that debacle earlier. Took DJ Chark in the fifth. I think DJ Chark is going to be a wide receiver that I will probably be talking a lot about this year. I'm already liking a lot of things about him. Ronald Jones in the sixth. Raheem Mostert in the seventh. Then I took Deebo Samuel in the eighth because I need to get some more wide receivers. Jameson Crowder in the ninth. I took Mike Gesicki in the 10th, who I really, really like as a tight end. Jalen Reagor in the 11th. Wanted to grab some more depth there at the wide receiver. Tyler Higbee in the 12th, and then Rashad Penny in the 13th. I'm really liking that whole idea that we came up last year where you grab a couple of these dart throw tight ends, hoping that one will pan out. And so that's why I went with that double tight end strategy there. But overall, don't love this team. I think my wide receivers are a little bit weak. I think I could be okay, but overall, I'm not excited about this draft. All right.
And that's why we mock it.
That's why we mock.
This feels like a team I would actually end up with. I I don't hate this team. Well, let's just break it down. Nick Chubb starting us off the 1-7. I really like pairing that up with Kareem Hunt down there in the 5th, but I'll get to that. So Nick Chubb, Patrick Mahomes. Went between him and DK Metcalf. I saw as the two elites up there. George Kittle is still in that camp for me too, but I like the other aforementioned names a little bit more. Julio Jones and Terry McLaurin are going to lock it down for my starting wide receivers, with Devontae Parker being my 3rd wide receiver, also a starter. Kareem Hunt and Leonard Fournette are my 2nd and 3rd running backs. Love the Kareem Hunt pairing with Nick Chubb. You can play him independently. It's also the handcuff. If something happened to either one, you've got a bump up for that other player. Leonard Fournette, a little bit of an upside dice roll. We'll see what happens over there. But then Zach Moss and Chase Edmonds to be the potential other halfbacks. Also grabbed Devin Singletary, so just picked up the Buffalo backfield. And Evan Ingram as my tight end. Baker Mayfield as the backup quarterback. I too missed out on Jalen Hurts. Dumb, but that's why we mock. And Michael Pirine starting running back technically for the New York Jets. We'll see how that works out. So I think it's an all right job of floor and ceiling here, and I don't think I have any holes.
No, it's definitely well put together. I love what you did with the backfields too. I thought Fournette's stays in Tampa Bay. That's going to be a really nice flex for you, or even just the RB2.
Or if he goes to Atlanta.
So yeah. So I thought you did well, and I thought your wide receivers are nice volume guy. You got a volume guy in Julio, then you got the pop and Terry McLaurin, followed by Devontae Parker, who could be ascending. Just well put together. Big fan of this team.
Mm-hmm. All right, you guys want to start breaking down these players? Well, I guess you say Whisper Nation, let us know what you guys think of our picks here. Leave a comment below at who you think won this. But we'll also
Eric Zuber thinks between you, me, and Big Travie, Jacob Bley had the best team.
Yeah, he's not wrong there.
Well, speaking of Jacob Bley, Big Travie, you want to break down his team?
I would be honored to. Jacob Bley went Dalvin Cook, Antonio Gibson, and CEH for his 3-headed monster. That's a pretty sexy 3-headed monster, especially if we can get that CEH bounce back like we've been talking about. Yeah. That would be a really nice trio there. Then he had Amari Cooper, Robert Woods, Devonta Smith, Tyler Lockett, and Gallup for 5 wide receivers in a row. Interested to see what his thinking was with Gallup and Cooper. Was he trying to hedge his bet with Cooper? Should something happen there? Is it kind of a wide receiver handcuff, if you will? I think Cooper's fine, especially with Dak back. He could have some huge upside this year. Thought Woods is a consistent guy to pick up there. And then I love the Lockett pick. Not so sure I'm sold without seeing where Devonta Smith lands, obviously. And then Michael Gallup, what happens there? Alexander Madison to tie up as Dalvin Cook. Smart pick there. Tannehill, great pick in the 10th round for quarterback here. I think, Tannehill gets slept on a lot, but since taking over that job has, really only been worse as a quarterback than Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. And that's some great quality people to be surrounded by stats wise. So Rob Gronkowski and Zach Ertz, this is probably the one weakness I'll have on his team is the tight end position here. It's not a bad position to be weak at. You can kind of make up, it's just a dumpster fire every year, plain and simple. Love the Jalen Hurts pickup. Just has huge upside there.
Yeah.
I think the tight ends for me, because they are in your starting roster, because this is a PPR league, I do discount them a little bit there, but not much. I'm going to give them a B+ here.
All right.
I think I would just like to see a little bit more pop at the wide receiver spot. Devontae Smith. It's tough for me to take a rookie wide receiver over a Deontay Johnson in this situation. It's like,
yeah,
but we'll
swing.
The risk is there when you go 3 running backs in a row. You're definitely maybe going to sacrifice some pop at wide receiver. But I think you hit it kind of there. Like Tyler Lockett, Robert Woods aren't wowing you. But they should be consistent in PPR and good enough to get the job done.
Yeah.
All right, Austin.
Hey, Lizzie, our Whisper Nation champion. He's been having a whole lot of good drafts. Let's see how we did here. Christian McCaffrey, DeAndre Swift. I think it's a really nice running back stack. Justin Jefferson, top 5 wide receiver, rookie year. Second year projects to be even better. Lamar Jackson, we all know what the former MVP is capable of, even though he kind of got ragged on this year. He really wasn't as bad as I think a lot of the commentary would suggest. It just wasn't elite numbers, but I'm not concerned about him really moving forward. Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, two pretty higher ceiling wide receivers there. Obviously, in a rookie, little bit of a concern. It's still a rookie wide receiver, which does give you a little concern, but it's a very, very, very good one. And we've seen rookie wide receivers be very good as of late. So not as concerned of that as I would have been 4 years ago. TJ Hawkinson looked great last year, looks even better going forward. Another rookie wide receiver there in Rondale Moore, same kind of story. Kenneth Gainwell, same thing. It's a rookie. It's hard to judge, but the upside is certainly there. Tom Brady is his backup quarterback. Nice one there to pair with Lamar Jackson. Gus Edwards, and some running back depth, and Kylan Wallace and Hayden Hurst to close it out. This is kind of an interesting one to grade, right? Like, this is such a heavy upside
rookies
of all the rookies that have not yet landed on a team, so it would totally shift. So this one has an asterisk. This team here, it's not a bad one. It's tough to say how quality a pick a Jamar Chase or a Rondale Moore or a Kenneth Gainwell are when we don't yet know where they are. But I really like the upside. It's Jay Blizzy knows what he's doing. He's got his eyes on the prize, and I think it's cool to see him using this mock draft right now to work out where potentially you might go for some high ceiling dart throws.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's some championship DNA right there, huh? Testing it out this early, trying to figure out where he would draft some rookies. We're on to you, Blizzy. We know you're going for that repeat, man.
So I mean, this is anywhere from a C to an A. It's giving where I'll give you I'll cut it in the middle and say B, just because it's easily an A team, it's easily a C team. We just don't know right now, but that's what we're mocking, and I think you did a great job on this mock draft.
But at the end of the year, no matter what happens, you could say they are who we thought they were, and Jay Blizzy is who we thought he is. All right, I'm going to move on to the news here. The news drafted in the third spot, 103, took Jonathan Taylor in the first, was a bit of a surprise there. Grabbed A.J. Brown, then CeeDee Lamb, DJ Moore to grab his 3 wide receivers. Then in the fifth, grabbed Travis Etienne. Then Javonte Williams in the 6th, Juju in the 7th, Jerry Jeudy in the 8th. I do like the Jerry Jeudy pick. Joe Burrow in the 9th, Noah Fant, Michael Carter, and then closed out the draft with Terrence Marshall and D Brown. I'm once again I don't know if I would go this rookie heavy. I understand, like, some of these were auto picks. I think the 2 rookies in the 5th and 6th round, I do like both of those running backs for this team. I would probably give this team a B plus just because of the Joe Burrow as the only quarterback. I have some questions as whether or not he'll be back in time, and just like how it might take him a bit to get fully back up to being a very startable running or quarterback. And so I'd probably go with somebody else that has higher upside, like a Jalen Hurts, a Matthew Stafford. I think even would start off quicker than a Joe Burrow. But ultimately, I would give this team a B. Did I say B or B plus originally?
I think you said B plus.
I would give this a B plus just because there's a lot of rookies. So you gotta, but I do like the rookies he landed. So, and he got me grading him. So
I don't like to spit negativity into the air with this, but it just, I don't mind the rookie running backs selection. Like Travis, when you were taking Antonio Gibson in our league of record pickup, like it's a really smart thing to grab those guys, especially 5th round and lower. But to take CeeDee Lamb as your number 2 wide receiver ahead of guys like Calvin Ridley, Allen Robinson, Keenan Allen, it's just he's still the number 3 wide receiver. You're still the number 3 wide receiver, and Amari Cooper didn't go for like full 2 rounds later on this. When we talk about the tiered system on how it goes, like CeeDee Lamb could be your boy, but if he's so much your boy that you're reaching tiers to grab him, like reorganize, make it less emotional.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I think he's going for pop here, and I think that's fine. I think, obviously we're drafting pretty early here, but I think, CeeDee Lamb still needs to hit quite a bit of things, have to fall his way for him to be kind of worth that pick, I would think. But we'll kind of see how that. He's definitely an interesting guy that you want to take. I think the way he did it with those wide receivers is kind of a good way to do it, though. A.J. Brown and then DJ Moore. Then you have kind of Lamb. You have the flexibility, but but taking the rookie running backs kind of set them back a little bit there, especially we don't know where they're going to go. But I did want to say this doesn't count for fantasy football, but a big fan of his alliteration here. Jonathan Taylor, Javonte Williams, Juju, Jerry Jeudy, Joe Burrow. So that doesn't really count for anything. My brain went there. So,
well, can your brain go to Easy Daddy's team and give us another one of those?
Eric Zubert. I don't know if he's going to have the alliteration, but first round pick here, PPR league, Travis Kelce. We've talked at length about Travis Kelce. We're fine with Travis Kelce in the first based on, just the usage here and in the PPR league. J.K. Dobbins, this was the debate. He said he thought he could get Gibson on the way back around, had to settle for Joe Mixon, who I don't think is that far off from Antonio Gibson and what could be a bounce back. We touched on Joe Mixon earlier. Mm-hmm. Najee Harris, if you're going to draft a rookie right now with all the hypotheticals, he's the rookie to draft in the running back position. Najee Harris is going to come in and probably be a fit as the best, most well-rounded prospect we have in this class right now. So I thought that was a fine pick there in this hypothetical situation. Dak Prescott, everything we're reading says he'll be back in time. I think he's a fine pick here in the 5th. OBJ, Jalen Waddle, Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman's an interesting character coming in with Carson Wentz now coming into the fold. Mm-hmm. Can we see more consistency out of both Wentz and Pittman? And will that equal a marriage that's going to be really good for fantasy? We'll see. Amon-Ra St. Brown, then Todd Gurley, Carson Wentz. I liked this pickup as kind of a dart throw later on. Robert Tonyan, man, I think this is a great pickup as well. I think, especially depending what happens with the running game in Green Bay, Tonyan could be in for a big year next year. And then we've got Darnell Mooney to round it out. I think I like the top of this draft, Dak Prescott, Kelce, the running backs. The wide receivers scare me so much so I'm going to give them a B- here. I don't know if OBJ, if that experiment's going to work in Cleveland. Pittman, there's a couple rookies here, and then Pittman. I just don't know if I'm confident enough in this wide receiver core to get me to a B or higher. So B-, C+, kind of somewhere in there for me.
Tough grades today, boys. Tough grades. Austin, you have any you want to do the FB therapist?
I agree with Travis' breakdown earlier, and I would be honored to jump into the FB therapist's rundown. He took Saquon Barkley at the 1-8. Even if Saquon doesn't pan out, you love taking him there. You just have to, as far as I'm concerned. Stephon Diggs, breakout player last year. Looks like he's got more of that coming up ahead. Love that pick. Cam Akers in the 3rd. He took Darren Waller as his tight end. Myles Gaskin is going to be his 3rd running back. Brandon Ayuk and Deontay Johnson there. 6th, 7th round picks. Those are his 2nd and 3rd wide receivers. Young, upside. I like the ceiling on those plays, and honestly the floor too. Justin Herbert is his quarterback of choice. That might be – Josh Allen was a steal, Justin Herbert was a steal, and Jalen Hurts was a steal. Justin Herbert, great steal there. Damian Harris and Nyheim Hines. Damian Harris is low-key. That's the number 1 running back in New England. He actually was pretty efficient. Broke 100 yards a lot last year when he was given the opportunity. Sony Michel is not a real threat. It's just going to be Bill Belichick. So I like that pick, especially as late as he got him. I don't really need him to be anything more than a handcuff or a backup player for you. Nyheim Hines has some pop. It's okay. You can drop him too for a guy. Corey Davis, Curtis Samuel, and Denzel Mims. I like those dice rolls at the wide receiver position, especially Denzel Mims there. They drafted him to be a guy. Rashad Perriman is all right. Jameson Crowder is the guy. Denzel Mims, though, could come and sneak up and be a real impact player for both the Jets and your fantasy football team. Corey Davis surprised a lot of people last year. I think that could continue moving on, especially given the fact that he's still just 26 years old. He just came off his rookie deal. And Curtis Samuel, he's got 2 other guys ahead of him. I just don't think he's going to have what it takes to break through, but they use him in exciting fashions. He's 24 years old as well. Don't hate that pick either. I like this team. I like this team a lot, actually. I think I love the upside and the floor of their wide receivers and Stephon Diggs, Brandon Ayuk, and Deontay Johnson. Good depth behind it. Saquon Barkley, Cam Akers, Myles Gaskin, Damian Harris. Those are all running backs who are going to get touches and their ceiling ahead of them. Justin Herbert, that's a really sneaky QB1 that you pulled out. I got to go A- on this. This to me is the best draft so far. With the caveat who just kind of went wild, but FB therapist so far is the only A squad I've seen.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think top to bottom, one thing that he didn't draft here was a rookie. So he didn't want to take any hypothetical chances on anything. He drafted what he knew and what he could prepare for, and I thought that was pretty smart in these early drafts. So
you guys are going to make people. We're going to make people think that we hate rookies, which is not the case. It's not the case. We love rookies. There's a lot of question marks as of right now. So that's the only difference. All right, Mr. Meeks.
Mr. Meeseeks.
Yes, thank you.
Character from Rick and Morty.
Yeah, I like that show. All right, we in the first round, we have Devante Adams. In the second, he took Austin Eckler, took Calvin Ridley in the third, which we were told like 10 times on the live stream was an absolute steal at the 309 spot. T. Higgins at the 404, which we talked about early. Kyler Murray, really exciting potential for Kyler Murray being the QB1 overall next year. In the fifth, Chase Claypool in the sixth, A.J. Dillon in the seventh, Rashad Bateman in the eighth, took David Johnson in the ninth, Chuba Hubbard in the 10th, Laviska Shenault, who we're talking about a guy who I'm really excited about this year and moving into his second year. Laviska Shenault, really like that pick in the 11th. Then took Hunter Henry and Irv Smith in the 12th and 13th. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this team could compete with the FP Therapist as the best drafted team as of now. We do have a couple more teams that we do have to talk and break down, but I really like this team. I would give this team an A minus to keep it interesting, because that's what we gave the FB Therapist. Where's the weakness?
The running back depth is just a little bit of something for me. I have no idea what's going to happen to David Johnson. So I
guess
Johnson, I don't know why I would draft David Johnson in any league right now. I have no idea what's going to happen. So, but I get what you're saying. Like starters, this is a fantastic team. I would agree with you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it depends on what you're grading. I think maybe B+, but yeah, A- is fine here. I mean, the hitters are hitters. Like A.J. Dillon takes over the starting role there. Austin Eckler and A.J. Dillon as your backs, and then that wide receiving core is nasty too. Kyler Murray, top 5 potential. Yeah, it's all there.
Yeah,
I'm going on the B+ side with it. T. Higgins, I like what he's about, but I really like what Terry McLaurin, DJ Moore, Amari Cooper, DJ Chark even are about more. I just like the opportunity with them. No one really above them. But it's if T. Higgins is your guy,
this is wide receiver 3.
Boy, could have had a better wide receiver 3. But if that's your boy, that's your boy. So
yeah, you know what they say, Austin. You know what we say on the show. Reach for your guy. And
this guy did. He wouldn't have probably been the backside.
Yep.
Perfect.
All right, next one.
Captain Bob is Rob Shorter from across the pond. Thanks for watching over in London, Rob. We appreciate you, man.
Hey.
Whisper Nation strong over there in London, England. Bob or Captain Bob, Rob Shorter takes Ezekiel Elliott, then James Robinson. Love those two running backs to start off. Real just hard-nosed running backs. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Volume guys there. Allen Robinson, Keenan Allen, Cortland Sutton. Sutton gets back healthy and plays a full year. I love him as a wide receiver 3. Like, that is going to be balling.
Ooh, yeah.
So love that setup there. Aaron Rodgers in the 6th. So far, 6 perfect rounds. It does get a little bit shaky here. Marquise Brown in the 7th. We were debating Marquise Brown, Deontay Johnson. I think Brown is going to be a guy that disappoints you. You're not going to know when to start him. A lot of that inconsistency in his play. Will Fuller is an interesting name. I would love to see where Will Fuller ends up. We got to see where he goes. Goes to somewhere like Green Bay where he almost got traded to. You're really interested. But we got to see what happens there. And then Marlon Mack, Tariq Cohen, James White. Mack will probably end up with a new team. We'll see where that is. Tariq Cohen, could get more involved this year depending on what they do at quarterback and what happens with David Montgomery. And then we got James White, Jonnu Smith, and Marvin Jones to bring up. Marvin Jones, nice pick in the 13th. I think Marvin Jones is a little undervalued, even with Goff coming to town. I think Marvin Jones could have some not Robert Woods, but maybe like when we've seen Josh Reynolds flash or we've seen some things happen as the third wide receiver for the Rams. I think Marvin Jones could be a big piece for Goff there.
The stat that we saw in Marvin Jones was like, here's the wide receivers to get 9+ touchdowns the last 2 years. Marvin Jones. That's it.
Yeah.
That was like like that. Like,
Marvin Jones is wild. He's not going to have Stafford there, so that'll be an adjustment. But this is going to be something that, Goff's made wide receivers playable in fantasy. He hasn't been completely bad his entire career. So I think that Marvin Jones is going to have some value here. Would have liked to see him get another tight end, maybe instead of James White. Jonnu Smith has definitely got the pop. I think he's going to be a value this year. Because he fell off so hard last year. I think he could break out again this year. But anyways, I'm rambling on here. I think that Rob did a great job here. I actually kind of like it as a flat A. I think top to bottom, it's really good. The depth scares me a little bit, but I think, he could get one of those guys, maybe Cohen, maybe Marlon Mack on a new team to pan out for him. And I just think that the top is so heavy. Those 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and Aaron Rodgers really exciting.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right. Austin.
hey,
Oh, yeah.
This is our boy.
Austin, you get Ryan, dude.
Yeah, you get Ryan. This team is nasty.
let's see here. Tyreek Hill, Michael Thomas, wow, that's even good. I don't even really care about who the quarterback is in New Orleans. I just want Michael Thomas to be healthy, which it looks like he is. Miles Sanders and David Montgomery, 2 what could be bell cow running backs there in the 3rd and 4th round. That's fantastic. Josh Allen, that was one of the steals at quarterback. Melvin Gordon, he actually did better than I think a lot of folks think he did based on the conversation coming out of the industry around Melvin Gordon. And there's Philip Lindsay's not competition for what Melvin Gordon's going to do. Melvin Gordon is also still just 27 years old. 6'1", 215-pound running back who can catch the ball. I like what he's about. Jarvis Landry, T.Y. Hilton, really nice depth pieces there. Players with upside, players with strong roles on their teams. James Conner there, we'll see where he goes. But, hey, the upside is really baked into that position, or the risk is built into that position. Sterling Shepard couldn't be another lead wide receiver that you don't need to rely on. Le'Veon Bell in the 11th, you like that. Dallas Goedert, Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet, I think, is a really, really nice pick there. He's a sleeper tight end that nobody talks about. He's like, to me, this year's Jonnu Smith or
Noah Fant. Some of the guys we were talking about coming in, yeah.
Exactly. But I think he might even have the highest upside of those ones, and he took him last. This is a great team. The FB Therapist was my other A-. I think Ryan, I don't see any misses. Who would I have taken instead? T.Y. Hilton. Who else would you have taken instead? Deebo Samuel, Will Fuller, Jerry Jeudy. But they're all similar risk upside plays. Like, this is your guy. Talk about drafting tiers. I think he did an excellent job here. This is an A-, closer to an A for me. This is the best one so
far. I think we can all agree that this team is just as awesome as Ryan's mustache.
No,
I would agree with that.
But the team is good.
It's a close second.
Close second. All right, I'll finish this out, boys, with Reed Tyler's team here drafting the 112 spot. He had DeAndre Hopkins. Then he took Josh Jacobs in the 2nd, and then Chris Godwin in the 3rd, followed by Chris Carson. So he every time went wide receiver running back, which is, interesting. And then he took Russell Wilson in the 5th, then Mark Andrews in the 6th, Kyle Pitts in the 7th, Trevor Lawrence in the 8th, Brandon Cooks in the 9th, Robbie Anderson in the 10th, Trey Sermon, Tevin Coleman in the 11th and the 12th, and then Sammy Watkins to close it out. I think he might have auto-picked here a couple of picks, it looks like, because he was killing this draft. I love what he did through the first 6 rounds. 6 rounds were great. He had some good picks here in the later rounds, and the Robbie Anderson in the 10th. I really think that's a good pickup there. Overall, if you're talking starting lineup, I do think he's one of the, top 4 or 5 teams today. I would probably give this team a B+. I think that's where I'm at.
Yeah, this is one that could have easily been an A.
Yeah.
Maybe not auto drafted through, but he set up some really good starters, man. That thing is a nasty at the top.
Really nasty at the top.
So good that even though those weird picks there in the middle, it's still, to me,
carried it. Yeah.
Hard to do. Nice.
All right, you boy, that's it. That's our mock draft. We got any final words?
No, man, well, yeah, I guess I do because I started. But I just want to say, man, I had another blast. Took a week off last week, but it's good to get back on here with everybody. And, we keep filling these rooms. We're going to keep doing it. As Austin said at the top of the show, we only do this because we get to hang out with all you guys. And so we want to continue to do that. So make sure you're like and subscribed on all platforms. And you catch us over on Twitter and Facebook and the whole 9 yards, Instagram. And Ryan wants to get with us. So we need to get, Ryan and Snap, who visit us, even FB therapists who have all been visiting us throughout this. We need to get some joint efforts going, Johnny and Austin. We get these guys on camera, get them talking, a little banter back and forth. I'm excited for that. I think we need to start getting that prepped.
Yeah, we definitely do.
I'm just the last words on me. We got 5 people here in the chat right now. We got a lot of folks who have fallen off, and I don't even care with it. Like the 5 people here who are with us, man. It's just such an honor to do this with you. I have goosebumps up and down my entire body. We love this game so much. We love the community even more. It's been a hard year. It's been a hard year ahead, but I'm already starting to feel legitimate excitement and real reasons to be like, we're in a different era that we're moving through. And I just can't wait to be in person with so many people, being in Vegas, drafting with people, getting that stuff kind of going back into it, being in sports bars, and just shouting with strangers. And it just reminds me of how much I love the fantasy football community and how much I love Whisper Nation and how excited I am to be doing this, making content with you all for every week moving forward with no end date. So that's it.
Yeah, buddy. All right. Peace. All right, Whisper Nation. We'll catch you next time right here on the Fantasy Whispers. Peace.
Austin, bye.
Later.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Whisperers podcast. You can hear more from John and Travis on Google Play, SoundCloud, and iTunes. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at TF Whisperers.